Legend of the Miao, the origins of human ancestors. There is a legend about the origin of humans in the Miao people's region in southwestern China. It's the story about the Nuo god and Nuo goddess. Once upon a time, there was a hunter living with his son and daughter beside a mountain. Living in the wild, the scariest thing was thunder and lightning. The father said,
"I'll catch the god of thunder one day."
One day, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and thunder roared. Father knew that the god of thunder was going to appear, so he picked up his pitchfork, hid himself behind the door, and prepared to catch the god of thunder. The claps of the thunder came closer and louder. Suddenly, the door was blown open by a bolt of lightning. Father threw his pitchfork into the sky, and the god of thunder fell down to earth. Father immediately locked him in a cage. The next day, he told his children,
"My children, I have something to do and have to go away for a while. Keep an eye on our prisoner, and remember, whatever you do, don't give him any water to drink."
After the father left, the god of thunder begged the children,
"Kind-hearted children, would you please give me some water to drink? I am dying of thirst."
"No, my father said we are not allowed to give you any water."
The god of thunder begged and begged.
"Just drip some drops on me, please."
The children couldn't resist his pleading and finally gave him some water. Suddenly, his body swelled up, his wings stretched out, and the cage burst open. The god of thunder was very happy to be free. He gave the children a tooth and said,
"You are good kids. I thank you for saving me. Plant my tooth in the ground, and its fruit will be your shelter from danger one day."
Then he spread his wings and flew away. When the father came back, saw the broken cage and his children hiding at the side, he knew what had happened. Several days later, the father cut some trees to build a solid boat. Meanwhile, his children planted the tooth behind their house. Surprisingly, it took just one day to bloom and bear fruit. The tooth was a gourd seed. The gourd grew to a huge size. The children cut it open together. The gourd was so big that both of them could fit inside. Several days later, the weather changed dramatically. The god of thunder had brought the god of water with him to seek revenge against the father. Thunder and lightning filled the sky, and heavy rain fell. The river flooded, and water flooded over houses and hills. The ground became a sea. The two kids were very frightened and hid themselves in the gourd. The father sat in the boat, holding an axe in his hand. He wanted to fight the god of thunder. The water rose higher and higher, and the boat was already close to the gate of heaven. The god of water was afraid that this man would get in and make trouble, so he shouted,
"Lower the water right away!"
Suddenly, the flood disappeared. The boat with father fell straight down to the ground, as did the gourd. The children waited for a while. Then they crept out of the gourd. However, they couldn't find their father and felt really sad. After the flood, the brother and sister were left alone. Year after year passed by until they finally grew up. It seemed that there was no one else in the whole world. One day, the brother prayed to God.
Dear God, there is no one else in the world. How can we have children? If you approve, let me marry my sister.
But God didn't answer. The sister heard her brother's prayer and said,
We are sister and brother.
How can we get married? Let's try to find someone else. So they carried on searching for other people. They kept on walking over mountains and crossing rivers. After a long time searching, they still couldn't find anyone else. The brother proposed again. The sister said,
Let us both carry a millstone and go to the top of a different mountain. Then we will let the millstone roll down the mountain. If they join together when they stop rolling, then we can marry each other.
The brother listened to his sister's advice, and they both carried millstones to the top of different mountains, and they let the millstones roll down. The two millstones joined together in a perfect match. The sister then said,
You take a thread and I take a needle. We will each climb to the top of a mountain and throw them out. If the thread passes through the eye of the needle, then we can get married to each other.
Thus, they each climbed to the top of a mountain once again. She threw out the thread and he the needle. The thread became a cloud column and the needle became a multicolored rainbow. Cloud column and rainbow became tightly entangled together.
Now that the millstones have joined and the thread has gone through the needle, it must be the will of God.
So she got married to her brother. After the wedding, the sister became pregnant, but the pregnancy took 3 years. Finally, a flesh ball was born. The sister felt uneasy and blamed her brother. She said,
I told you that we couldn't marry, but you didn't listen to me. Now it's all your fault.
The brother was also angry. He cut the flesh ball into pieces